is the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.
Do we ever have a fun edition of the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show for you tonight? It is all about the Western Conference Finals. We're talking hoops, we're talking hockey, and we're originating from north of the border as we get ready for Game 3 between the Stars and the Oilers tomorrow. But before we get to that, what an incredible environment in the American Airlines Center today as the Dallas Mavericks get it done and take a 3-0 lead. We got so much to talk about. Let me bring in my main man, Andrew Cely, who's kind of quarterbacking the show. I'm here north of the border. He's back there with his hands on all the controls. That means you can't mess this up, Andrew. Okay?
I don't know, man. You make it easy on me, I'll find a way to make it hard. Either way, we don't have a lot of time to waste because we've got a lot to talk about. Let's get right into what's on the show.
Here's What's on the Show, sponsored by NFM.
We got to get right back out to the American Airlines Center for an incredible Game 3. What a great game that went right down to the Mavs. Excuse me. I am false starting all over the place. What went right for the Mavs down the stretch, and can they survive the loss of Derek Lively II for an extended period of time? Plus, no fence riding, including some pointed shots at the people and Stars who are attending Mavs and Stars games. We'll get to that a little bit later. Joe, that's what's on the show tonight. Who's on the show?
Well, that sounds like a fun deal, and we got some great guys on the show tonight. Our one and only, our very own Jonah Javad, resident hoop head. And, man, I know he was just eating up everything that was going on at the American Airlines Center today. And we got another hoop head with us, too, from the Locked On podcast. It's our guy, Nick Angstadt, who has seen so much Mavericks basketball. He is steeped in it. So, listen, Jonah, I'm going to start with you because, you know, I made the mistake of telling you to simmer down when it was 2-0. Well, it's 3-0 now, and you can be as excited as you want, brother. As excited as you want, because these Mavericks are really putting together something special.
Yeah, listen, I was with you, Joe, and I'm also a big-time reverse jinx guy. So, like, if something's going one way, you just expect the worst to happen and hope it goes the other direction. Listen, after Game 2, it was hard not to get carried away if you're a Mavericks fan, because winning 2 games on the road is incredible, but sometimes teams can get ahead of themselves, and I was a little concerned of that, I guess, with the Mavericks here tonight in Game 3. They showed no signs of it. I think the largest lead the Wolves had was 3 points, and so it was Dallas dominating most of this game. If not for Anthony Edwards really going off in the third quarter, this might have been a double-digit blowout. So a lot to like from this Mavericks performance. And Nick, I believe you were here as well. What a show. I mean, it was an incredible display of basketball tonight.
Yeah, Jonah, if you want a high five, like in the air, I think I can hear you from where you are right now. But the stars of this, the real story of this is Luka and Kyrie. Those two guys have been the 2 best players in this series. There was some talk before about, is Anthony Edwards getting into that category where Luka Doncic is right now? Is Kyrie Irving, can he still bring it? And he has not touched either of Luka or Kyrie in this series. They combined for 66 points in this game, and they came up really big in big moments, had clutch shots. Kyrie hit the 3 to basically end it with a minute. Those 2 stars have been the 2 best players, and that's why the Mavs are up 3-0.
And I want to jump in on that real quick and talk about, because you mentioned Anthony Edwards. He came into this series, people comparing him to Michael Jordan, and you saw him kind of hit a wall in those first 2 games. You kind of wondered the response he would have coming out in Game 3. Certainly was more aggressive, but again, not the kind of night I think we expected, and I think a lot of credit has to go to the Dallas Mavericks defense. Joe, what did you think?
No, I think you're exactly right. I think there was someone on this panel who talked about what it would look like when you brought a young player like that into the deep water that is this point of the playoffs, when every bucket matters, when it is so critical to be at your best, especially down the stretch. And when it comes to this series, I think it's simply put this way. The Mavericks have 2 closers, and the Timberwolves have 0 closers. Anthony Edwards could certainly evolve into one, but he's not there yet. And Karl Anthony Towns, remember, he had a chance to hit a 3 when they were down 4 with about a minute and a half left today. It was nowhere close. So I think that is the distinguishing point in this series, and the experience level that the Mavs have over the Timberwolves is the reason why they will advance. And I'm just leaving the floor open. Whoever wants it now. Whoever wants it, take it.
Yeah, the Mavs continue to find ways to win games. This is what this team has done ever since they added P.J. Washington, Daniel Gafford. Their defense solidified. They figured out who they are. They've got this baseline of this defensive identity. And I think that's the wall that Anthony Edwards is running into. He's running into the wall of this defense of the Dallas Mavericks. Give them credit for it. Anthony Edwards hasn't looked great, yes, but it's Derrick Jones Jr. playing defense on a really high level, leading him into the help in the paint and giving him just the tough shots that he has to take. Now, he'll hit some of those tough shots. 10 points in the third quarter. He had a really good run and an insane dunk that just made this arena go, should we cheer for that? It was very cool, but it was against our players. Should we do that? But the defense of the Dallas Mavericks has been huge and has made Anthony Edwards try to do things that he doesn't want to do.
Here, like, that dunk was so amazing, and I'm glad it happened just because it was really fun to see live. Glad it happened in a Mavericks victory. It would have been really tough to see if this went the other direction. I said that, I think I tweeted this out the other night. Gafford and Lively, they're not household names. They're certainly not stars the way Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert are at least considered in the NBA world. But we have to give these guys a lot of credit. We've got to give them their flowers because they have changed the entire perception of this Mavericks team, their defensive ability. They are outplaying Cat and Rudy. And that is incredible because Cat and Rudy were the two best players on the two best defensive players on the best defense in basketball this year. And the Mavs bigs are outplaying them. That is really impressive to me.
Joe mentioned the missed three in crunch time for Cat. He was 0 for 8 from the stripe, and when you really look at this game, that kind of came down to his three-point shooting. Mavs finally getting some to drop, 14 go in. And all of a sudden, 3-0. Stay with us, though. We're not done talking about the Mavs. We'll also touch on the Stars, plus no fence riding. Stay with us on the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show.
Today's headlines, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers.
I mean, the big headline has to be the Mavericks win Game 3, 116-107, taking a 3-game series lead over the Timberwolves. And, oh, by the way, the Rangers did win today 6-2 over the Minnesota Twins. Corey Seager with 2 homers in that one. Joe, remind us again where you are.
I am in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. This is the capital city of the Alberta province. Of course, it's Stars and Oilers. Game 3 tomorrow, another Western Conference Finals. As sports fans in North Texas right now, I feel like you're spoiled, but I feel like you deserve it. With all that you've been through, we got the Rangers going. Now the Mavs and the Stars are getting this thing together, man. It has been so much fun to watch. Incredible stuff. I do want to talk more about the Mavericks, though, because I want to bring up a name that has been controversial in North Texas, especially on Sports Talk Radio, and that name is Jason Kidd. He has been lambasted by some. He has been criticized by a lot. But now that the Mavericks are up 3-0, I will tell you what I have said all along. That's the same Jason Kidd who in his first year brought this team to the Western Conference Finals. I know that there are tactical issues. I know that you might not agree with what he does. But here's what I agree with. The bottom line. And how he has put this team together in short order when they got the trade deadline acquisitions of P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford. It's been fantastic. Good on Jason Kidd. Good on Nico Harrison. Nick, I'm curious about your thoughts on that.
Yeah, as one of those people that was basting that lamb at a certain point during the season when the Mavs were looking really bad, their defense wasn't there, and they lost a couple of really big games. The Mavericks on March 7th completely changed and completely turned around and became the team that we see now. Jason Kidd mentioned that recently in an interview, that was sort of the line of demarcation for this team, that they came together, they realized what their defense needed, and they really started to defend, and now they've been the best defense in the NBA since then. And he answered a lot of the questions that I had about Jason Kidd as a coach. When he has leaders on the court, when he has a Luka Doncic, a Kyrie Irving stepping into these roles as leaders, when he had a Luka, a Jalen Brunson, a Dorian Finney-Smith, when he has those type of players to step up and to lead this team on the court, he can be a great coach. We've seen that he can win, and now he's been to 2 Western Conference Finals in 3 years. When he doesn't have it, it maybe looks like the year in the middle of that. And so that's where we are with Jason Kidd. He's done an excellent job.
Yeah, I'll take
Jonah,
it
what do
one
you
step
think?
further, and sure, Jay Kidd has done a great job with what he's been given. I want to take it one step further and give credit to the guy who's given it to him, Nico Harrison, the Mavs general manager. We criticized him after really they fumbled that situation with Jalen Brunson's contract. He goes to New York, starts lighting it up, and the Mavs missed the playoffs last year. And Nico was rightfully so, taking some heat for how that all unfolded. Well, he goes out and he gets P.J. Washington, he gets Daniel Gafford, they draft Derek Lively, and those three guys have been absolutely critical to this Mavericks playoff run. So, yes, I give a lot of credit to the guy who's orchestrating things from the sidelines, but the guys up in the offices and in the back halls are really making it possible for this Mavs team to go.
I know Joe's given a lot of credit to Kidd, but I also want to say here, this next game and this next stretch really is going to show his worth, with Derek Lively II potentially out for the rest of this series, pending what happens moving forward. How much do you think that loss is going to hurt, especially in a closeout situation in Game 4, Joe?
Yeah, listen, I think the Mavericks fortunately have bought themselves a little leeway in terms of giving Derek Lively II a chance to come back and giving him some time if he needs it, right, to come back from that next strain important. Hopefully it's a soft tissue injury that they can work through, do all the stim, do all the rehab stuff to try and get that young man back. Because here's the deal with Derek Lively II. He has grown up before our eyes in the postseason. Think about, after the awful and tragic loss of his mother, how rough it was for Derek Lively at the beginning of these playoffs against the Clippers. He looks like a completely different basketball player. Good on him for his ability to grow and show just a ton of maturity in a very short amount of time. And Jonah, I know you see the same thing.
Well, absolutely, and remember, he was dealing with injuries for a lot of this season, too, so every time it looked like he was making some progress, it was kind of halted. But here in the postseason, he's been absolutely phenomenal. As I mentioned earlier, I think he's outplaying Gobert and Towns in the low post. And as you mentioned, Joe, he's got some time to rest up, assuming this is not like a super serious postseason-ending injury. Game 4 is in a couple of nights. The NBA Finals, Game 1, is not until June 6th. That is a week from this Thursday. So we're still awaiting details. Head coach Jason Kidd said after the game that they're going to see how he feels tomorrow and then kind of assess a timetable from there. If he's dealing with concussion-like symptoms from that knee to the head from Karl Anthony Towns, I would imagine we're talking some days here to rest up. And so that time off would be critical. And the 3-0 series lead, pretty big too.
Nick,
go ahead. Lively has been absolutely invaluable to this team. I think P.J. Washington has probably been their third best player at times in this, and plays the most minutes out of the rest of the role players. But Derek Lively has come in and been an absolute advantage for this team. So without him, they found a way to do it in this one. Daniel Gafford stepped up in a big way, had some crucial moments late down the stretch. The Mavs tried Dwight Powell and threw him out there. He had some mixed results. And then they also went small. We've never seen this team go small without really a center out there, with P.J. Washington kind of as that center. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they recover it. Jason Kidd, he's going to have to coach and figure out ways to come up with big men with other answers if Derek Lively's going to miss any time against a huge Minnesota Timberwolves team.
You cannot look at this series as over yet until you close out a team. It is not over. We saw it last year when the Celtics actually rallied to force a Game 7 after being down 3-0. So there's still a lot left to be determined on the court with Game 4 in a couple of days. Joe, real quick. Jonah, excuse me. One last point from you.
It's over. It's over.
One last point. You mentioned closeout games. How good is Kyrie Irving in closeout games, guys? Undefeated.
Fair.
Might be over.
14 and
He's got some wiggle room now. Anyway, when we come back, no fence riding. Stay with us on the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. Welcome back to the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. It is time now for our favorite game, Jonah's included, no fence riding.
And now it's time for No Fence Riding, sponsored by the Fort Worth Convention and Visitors Bureau.
The concept is simple. I have a couple of statements for the panel. They have to decide what side of the fence they're on. No waffling or they get called out. Our first one here: Cowboys players should stay the hell away from Mavs and Stars game. Now, I will preface this by saying it was cool that Trayvon Diggs was at his first hockey game the other night, but so far, I believe the Stars are 0-2 when Cowboys players are in the building. The Mavs are 1-1, and it seems they do pretty well with Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes in attendance, too. Joe, we'll start with you. What do you think on this one?
Yeah, come on now. Let's grow up a little bit. There's no fence riding here. There's also no superstition in playoff sports, okay? So let's not do that. No, let's just throw that out. That makes no sense. So am I not riding the fence enough for you, Andrew?
No,
that's ridiculous.
You seem a little waffle. I can't really tell what you're thinking. Jonah, what do you think?
Okay, I agree they should stay away if they're on the active roster. If you are a retired player or a Hall of Famer, like DeMarcus Ware was near the court tonight, and he enjoyed the game. So I think if you're like a Hall of Famer or retired legend, you're good. But if you are on the 53, get out.
Now, remind me or not, DeMarcus Lawrence did win a Super Bowl, so he is a champion and deserves to be part of this run. Nick, do you have any superstition around this?
Yeah, I think Jonah found a new way to ride the fence. I think that's what Jonah just figured out how to do. I don't specifically have any, except for one. I don't write the score down in my notes before a free throw until the free throw has gone down. I don't go ahead of myself at that point. And I had a lot of listeners tell me what their superstitions are. There's lots of same shirts being worn over and over again, same shoes being worn, hats, certain things that people wore in the 2011 run that they're wearing again now. Lots of superstitions around this. And, at this point, keep the Cowboys away.
No, I feel you. Superstitions are real, Joe, and you should be alert for them. They're part of our business, too. Anyway, let's move on to our second statement here.
Come on.
The Stars can't keep losing game ones and expect to win the Cup. I realize there's only one more round if they get there, but they can't keep putting themselves behind the 8 ball. These series get long. The Colorado series, the way they played the first 4 games, could have been over in the first 4. Joe, what do you think heading into a potential next round for the Stars here?
Yeah, listen, they've beaten the last 2 champions, Stanley Cup champions, after being down 0-2 and then 0-1. They are as resilient as they need to be. Is it ideal? No. But can they come back? They've only proven it time and time again, and they might just prove it all the way to the Stanley Cup final.
Jonah, what do you think?
Listen. I said this on WFAA last night. Just stick to the script. Lose game 1, win the series. Who cares? It's worked for them in the past. I say keep it rolling. Once they win the West Finals, go to the Cup, and then take care of whomever you face in the Stanley Cup. Just make sure you lose game 1.
No, I hear you. You don't want to mess with tradition. We talked superstitions a couple seconds ago, but it's worth bringing up. Anyway, Nick, hang tight real quick with our third statement here. I'll come to you first. Modern-day athletes face far more criticism than their predecessors do. Looking specifically at Jason Kidd in his first 3 years, Kyrie Irving when he first came in, Luka Doncic on basically a nightly basis when people are complaining about his complaining. What do you think about that statement?
Yeah, you put more in there, and that's the key word in there is more. There's more outlets. There's more media. There's more people. People like me wouldn't have existed even like 20 years ago to set up and do your own show, to now be part of WFAA and all this whole thing. Absolutely. They face more criticism. Now, is it as intense as the criticism of the past? I don't know, but there's definitely more of it. Any single person on the planet can get on and comment on an Instagram or Twitter or something like that. The inside guys were right next to me. They were responding to their own mean tweets or mean comments or whatever on there. Everybody faces criticism. Even me, even you guys have criticism now. When in the past you'd have to write a letter to a news station or something like that. There's way more now.
Jonah, I know you were critical of the Rangers bullpen before they went on the run. What do you think?
I'm still critical of the Rangers bullpen. When did that change, Cely? I don't care if they won a World Series. Figure it out. I'm with you. I could barely hear your statement, your statement, to be honest. But Rangers bullpen needs some more.
All right, that's fair. Joe, about criticism, how do you feel it's changed over the years, and which side of this fence do you land on?
Listen, being the veteran person on this panel, it has changed so much, you guys. The vitriol with which fans complain, it's personal now. It's so much more disrespectful now. And I leaned over a minute ago. You may have seen me go out of the frame. I just wanted to grab this. This is the reason why. Because there's so many more ways to do it, and there's so many keyboard warriors with the phone now. It's a completely different thing, and unfortunately, I do think sometimes that some of the professional athletes have rabbit ears, and they listen to that stuff too much, and it can have a really bad effect. And, man, it's so much worse now, and I got to tell you, it's part of what I hate about the way we consume sports today.
No, I hear you, Joe. Nick, Jonah, thank you so much for your time on the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. We got to go to break. Stay with us. When we come back, it's Joe's Final Take. Welcome back to the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. Everyone take a deep breath. It's time for Joe's Final Take.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I want to talk about what happens when a couple of basketball savants get it together. We didn't see it a year ago from Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, but they figured it out. More importantly, they figured each other out. And it could mean a championship for the Dallas Mavericks, and man, is it ever fun to watch. And that's my final take.
Sounds good. Can't wait for Game 4. Bring it on. And bring on Game 3 for the Stars, man. You're in for a good one.
Yeah, this should be a blast. Listen, the Stars are getting it together, too. That third period was fun to watch. They tightened down the screws on that great Edmonton offense. We'll see if they can do more of that. We'll be here live from Edmonton for you. It's Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals. That'll do it for the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. Thanks so much for joining us. I will see you all day tomorrow to get you ready for more Western Conference Finals. Good night, everyone.
This has been the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.